Hey everybody, welcome to the Journey More Often sponsored Tipsy Tag Along podcast here at Capstone Vineyards. This place is awesome. Can you see behind me how crazy ridiculous the view is? It's gorgeous. And we've heard that the wines are as spectacular as the view, so we're about to find out. But first, the public service announcement. You can drink, but don't drink and drive, and don't drink and do stupid stuff. That's ridiculous in and of itself. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. So don't do that. Anyway, so here we are. I'm Gary Moore with Tipsy Tagalongs and Journey More Often. We have Cassie Gary, our co-host for today, and we have Theo from Capstone Vineyards. So, all right, wow, this is really cool. Now, the other thing that I want to say is we're doing this before they open, okay? So small businesses are small businesses. You know, it's tough. When you have a small business, you can't just break away while there's clients and customers coming in. It's just too hard. So you'll see today in the morning and tomorrow in the morning, we'll be doing a podcast where, the business isn't open yet. And that's so that Theo can relax and spend time with us and talk to us rather than be worried about making sure that all his customers are okay. All right, so all of that out of the way. We have some wines here. I think you said 3 whites and 2 reds.
Yep.
That we'll be going through. Why don't you go ahead and pour and describe the first one?
Certainly. This is our sparkling Chardonnay made in the champagne method, or traditional method. We make sparkling wine in both traditional and the Charmat method.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah.
It is picking up.
Yeah.
So it's 100% Chardonnay. I find Chardonnay is a really good base for traditional method sparkling wines. It really holds the yeast characteristic quite a bit. It has good weight to it as well. A lot of times when you're making traditional method sparkling wines or any sparkling wine, you are picking pretty early with a fair amount of acidity. So you like to be able to balance that acidity with the weight from the wine, but also the weight from the yeast. We have a few sparkling wines that we're making right now. We have a C square that we call it Chenin Blanc and Chard, and we also inheritance Muscat. These are all picked and purchased. Muscat just begs for a little bit of sweetness. So it doesn't have too much of
There you go.
everything else is vintage.
Yeah. And all right. Speaking of buying the property, when did you guys start Capstone?
So we purchased the property in November of 2022. However, Andrea, Bear, and Dave Adams planted the vineyard in 2013. They were the first planting of Merlot and then planted in 2014 and 2015. So we have 12 and a half acres of vines with Merlot, Chardonnay, Cabernet Franc, Yvertot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chenin Blanc, Muscat Otnel, Roussanne, and Sauvignon Blanc. So a really nice variety.
That is.
We really love blending. One of the things we do want to focus on moving forward is really focus on white blends. You don't see a lot of that. For winemakers, or a lot of times, the white blends can be an afterthought or somewhat of a home for everything that doesn't make its way into other programs. But we're going to be very deliberate with how we will go about that.
Yeah. No, but you don't hear a lot about white blends. That's for sure. Red blends are everywhere, but you don't hear that much about white blends. And knowing what I know, which is not as much as you, but knowing what I know about white wines, a white blend could come off really, really nice.
Yeah, no, I think so. That's kind of the fun part, and well, it's all fun, but you've got kind of the science and the chemistry and the microbiology happening in the primary fermentation, and then the art form, and I think the winemaker's sort of unique interpretation of how the wine should be presented really comes into the blending sessions with the dries. And so that takes quite a bit of time often, but it's quite a bit of fun.
Oh yeah. I don't think I've met too many winemakers that didn't have fun doing it. There's very few winemakers that it's like a job.
Oh, for sure. Well, if you don't like it, that's fine.
Well, yeah, but yeah, exactly. So this is it's typical. It's dry. But it's got just a touch of sweetness.
Yeah,
but not a lot.
No, so this would be considered an extra brut. So it's got 2 grams per liter that changes with each vintage. Some vintages are a little bit richer, and so you don't need to balance the acidity so much. In some vintages, both low and acidity, just the pressures.
Right.
Balance that. We do keep it. All of our traditional methods are extra peppers, so it's less than.
Wow, that's so good. But yeah, I mean, it's the sweetness is barely there. And yes, yeah, so that's kind of nice. I'm not personally, I like drier wines, and so this one's actually coming off pretty well for me, so I'm liking it. What else can we talk about here? Go ahead.
Theo, I wanted to ask you because I do think
This is for sure.
It's
It's really
delicious, absolutely delicious. What got you into sparked your interest in sparkling wine? Yes.
I think the process is really neat.
Nice.
It's a harder thing to. There's a lot that can go wrong, but I really like the whole kind of process of taking something that's still and making it something that's sparkling. And it's the progression of the wines often. Because I think winemaking, the whole part of winemaking involves watching the evolution of the wine. Right? And there's no finer example of that than traditional method sparkling wines.
So just you wanted to play around with it.
Yeah, and so
That's how it started, and then it progressed to this, which is really good. So
yeah.
delicious.
So we've done a lot of like sparkling reds over in the past. Both the Charmants, which is a natural refermentation as well, been forced fermented wines. Taking cider and throwing that into the garage as well, which is kind of fun. Cider goes in smelling and tasting like apples, comes out smelling and tasting like pears. And so the yeast have
Intriguing.
Yeah, the yeast have a really they have a big ability to alter, change, magnify, work on the wine over time. So it's just fun to see play out in different iterations.
Right. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, the iterations. That's when you're doing it over and over again, but you're changing like little variations of parts of the process. And when you get to where that's where I want it, then that's the theoretical recipe. So you gotta be disciplined and write it all down, or keep track of it, log it all as far as how you do it. And when you get to that spot, you're like, yeah, now it's good. I can relax and continue to make a good. It's just, yeah. I mean,
It's delicious.
it really is. It really is. Yeah, it's got some. So let's talk about the wine and what you would eat with it.
So actually, one of my favorite pairings with this style of Chardonnay and champagne method is actually salty kettle chips.
See, there you go.
Super simple, but they go hand in hand. This fried chicken, so cut the acidity to kind of add a little bit of flavor to it as well.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So when we do American Wine Journey, we pair wines with food.
Nice.
But this is you're telling people, okay, so when you're partaking of this is what you want to jump into. And so I love the kettle chip scenario and the fried chicken scenario, because everybody's like, oh, it's white, we have to do whatever, right? And it's a champagne, like, we have to do so, but that's not how wine works. All sorts of different wines you can use for different foods and enjoy them even more than just in the glass.
For sure. And
pair it up.
wine's so subjective, so it's fun. Eating every day.
Need to be loud.
That plane is overtaking.
You can hear the plane in the background. Well, I guess we're in the fly zone. It's over there. You can see it. Yeah. So it's live. You can tell it's live. So when I do the final mix someday, maybe that won't be here. It does. Yeah. Actually, that was a nice looking jet. So I can't complain. Prop plane, actually.
We're not too far from that weather here too, so you've got a lot of helicopters going. There's a lot of helicopters.
Yeah, so that's just adding to the flavor of the location, right? Which is fine. Um, and it wasn't too loud, and it wasn't too long, so we're all good. How about we move on to the next one?
Sure. So we have our Sauvignon Blanc here. And so Sauvignon Blanc is a fun one. Depending on, like all grapes, depending on how it's grown, it can taste entirely differently.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I don't think people realize. You know, there's a lot of things you can do to a wine process that makes it taste a lot different than what people expect.
My wife and I purchased the property in November of 22, so we are still getting the feel for what it has to offer. The growing the grapes is kind of we know how to farm it and cropping and stuff like that. So we love that. But making all the wine from the fruit is new to us now from the site. So that's been a wonderful, a lot of fun learning about what kind of potential the fruit has in the cellar, whether to put into barrel or neutral oak. I've got a terracotta which is played with as well, which imparts a new reality in the wines of Chenin and things like that. I have for the first couple of years kept a lot of our whites in stainless steel, just to really figure out what the wine is going to without any sort of manipulation in the cellar. So this Sauvignon Blanc is all stainless steel. It's from 23. Picked again, kind of in the vein of not being remarkable using Sauvignon Blanc in style. Definitely continuing more towards that Sancerre, old world in style. It's got some nice kind of oyster shell component. It's got great acidity. Definitely not opulent in your nose. It's not super tropical. It's
And it's not the typical steel influence.
no.
It almost has an oaky influence in a sense.
Well, so one of the tactics we use in the cellar, in order to add what are considered to be relatively high acid white wines that can be quite linear on the palate, they kind of cut from the front to the back with much depth. We'll ferment after primary fermentation. We'll let it settle. We'll pull a lot of the dead yeast from the bottom of the tank with the wine and rack it into. I've got some conical bottom tanks. So we'll go into the conical bottom tanks, and so all the yeast resettles down to the bottom. And then once a week for the first couple of months, I'll hook up a sparging stone, so a ceramic stone to the bottom of the tank, and pump nitrogen gas in it and stir it that way, rather than stirring the lees. It can add a lot of weight and adds really nice kind of nuance on the nose. I quite like it. It's also a huge antioxidant, the dead yeast, and so it helps keep the buffer from losing prematurely to our wines.
It adds a lot of flavor.
It has a
It's surprising because a lot of white wines that are done in a steel cask they tend to be crisper, and this one has more flavor than the typical crisp. You know, it's still crisp to a point, but it's not. It's not like, you know, some are just like cut it off. You know,
Or
it's
they
like
take the enamel off.
Yeah, right.
they're really crisp, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. But this one has a lot of really good flavor to it with a white wine. I mean, there are times when you want the crisp, but this is a very good alternative to the typical crisp.
It's so much about wine making is balance. Just achieving balance.
So I'm really like that. What would you recommend eating with this one?
This obviously would go very well with any fish dish. Chili and sea bass. It's definitely savory.
I think the boulder fish.
The bolder fish.
Yeah.
It would be quail. It would work with quail. So it's pretty versatile. It's just one thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this to me is very
Oh, Alfredo. It just hit me. It was like 1001, 1002. It just hit me that I'm like, oh my god, yeah, Alfredo. This would be like killer well.
great minerality, great roundness.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have an open. Let's see. Cassie's Oh no. Give it a shot. Try your best, but it won't happen. All right, yeah. Just do me a favor and pull that mic a little closer. For some reason, we're having a hard time hearing you. Yeah, I got it. All right. I think you're both well. We are getting a little bit in the background, so I would have to pull that out. But normally we don't get that. And it's November, right? It's November.
It is beautiful.
15th.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of weather in November is ridiculous if you think about it.
Very true.
So this is beautiful, and that's why people have been going out to places like this. They'll show up and park for a couple of hours and this yeah. Well, I can see that it's the place to stay around for a little while.
We have a good neighborhood. We're having the Crimson Lane. So across the road from Fox Meadow. Another established. They're opening up their consumer village. So
Silver
creating a
Dog.
little Silver Dog, yeah. So we're creating a little
Oh,
destination.
so
Pretty cool.
and that's nice because you got to be careful of the
Unfortunately, our steep hillside keeps naturally deters. There's any buses from getting up the hill. So,
Yeah,
I've seen them struggle and try to get up.
it's
and
tough. It's tough,
see them turn around.
and they offer a certain part of the customer base, but on the other hand, it's difficult because at times there can be like a dozen, and you're trying to meet up with a what do you call it, that big a crowd, and then on top of that, you're just trying to make it work with everybody else at the same time. Sometimes they don't even come announce that.
No,
Right?
it's a hard dynamic to fit in.
Yeah. Or scheduling a specific time when you can dedicate somebody to the larger group. But I know, having worked at a vineyard myself, they just come at any time sometimes. There's a warning. So it's nice to have a reservation. If you're gonna have a big group, have a reservation, no matter where you're going. So this is really good. We should probably move on to the next one.
So this is our Roussan here. Roussan's probably one of my favorites. The side's really fine. It's pretty funny. It's our last white to come by a couple weeks. So we'll have Chardonnay, we'll have Sauvignon Blanc kind of in and out of fermenter already. And the Roussan's still hanging on the vine. And then one day, like it's rock hard and green, and then berries. One day it'll turn soft and translucent. And then within 24 to 48 hours, it'll start skyrocket. So yeah, in my mind, I'm relatively rare when you got it.
Right? Yeah, I mean, one frost in
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, late
because it's coming late enough that you're with a white grape, you're like in that narrow region.
I think one of my favorite descriptors of Roussan is that you drink more like a red wine because it has a fair amount of phenol. It comes from the bronzy of the skin to describe it.
Yeah. Hence, it's the third white going into
Yes.
the reds after this.
Sure.
Okay,
Strategically placed
that
there.
was you might have even thought about that.
Theo,
So-
can you tell us about Roussan as a
Yes.
varietal? It's Northern Rhone, correct? Or
Yeah,
same.
yeah. So it's along with Viognier, Marsanne, Roussan, or the variety. So in the Rhone area, it's not as fickle as Viognier. I've worked with Viognier a lot. I'm not a big fan of Viognier. It does have that weighty. Viognier has been quite weighty as well. Similar to Roussan. Roussan actually crops well and grows well versus Viognier, which doesn't crop very well and doesn't grow very well. And I have not tried Marsanne. Marsanne, I've tried growing it. I do like Marsanne. Wines coming out of growing.
Right.
So I think there may be potential for me to try an experimental blend.
Yeah. So I knew I read the name and I was like, yeah, this is like a French region wine. So that's pretty cool. And I think you're right. Viognier is the grapes can be very fickle, and if you don't get it like perfect, you don't have much.
Yeah, well,
you're gonna bottle like 5 bottles kind of thing.
And that's
not
it comes
literally,
down
but
to the pruning vineyard. It's the second and third buds.
works. That's the key for any vineyard, right? You got to go with what
Absolutely.
works and how that.
Great body, great weight,
I
great
love
feeling.
fragrance.
So another all stainless steel wine. This year I put some of the Roussan. We were up on a little bit this year. So some of the Roussan into Clam Flora, and some of the other Roussan was put into neutral filter barrels. So you're trying to find, after you make a couple of years just in stainless steel, then you kind of start experimenting with putting in different
Right.
vessels to see how it affects the wine. And see where just stainless.
So with the French barrel, are we talking like new oak?
All neutral.
Okay, all neutral and toasted. Is it medium toast? Yeah, I mean it tends to be the
Pretty standard protocol for white wine.
baseline. Yeah,
I put
I mean you're not going to do it in a heavily toasted barrel.
no.
That'd just be off.
It would just do it.
When I first
Sorry.
started out and was young and irresponsible, I put some Chardonnay into a Virginia New York barrel.
Oh,
It came out tasting like pina colada.
yeah,
Boy, you get a lot of fur fall.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that's one of the nice things about wine too is you experiment.
Mm-hmm.
If you start out, you have enough scale to kind of win some and lose some. Keeps all everything pretty steep.
Right.
It allows you to make a lot of mistakes and eventually you kind of learn from and be able to eat. Allows you to own your skill.
Yeah, but I think it's winemakers. Yeah, they can make mistakes, but then they recover like and nobody even knows it, right? So you've got this scenario where you're drinking a wine where somewhere in the process a mistake was made, but you're tasting wine. Yeah, it's really good. And there is a recovery process, for the most part. So when it goes into the pub, you've got this desirable product, if you will, that people are going to like, and so that whole process of making a mistake. Everybody does it, right? Occasionally. But like putting white wine in a new Virginia.
We've all done things like
But
that.
it's that trial and error, right? It's trial and error. I mean, we had once we bought this just because it was in the store. We bought a red wine that was yeah, and it tasted about like you would expect.
Right.
It was red wine in a pine barrel, and so when you're looking, so every action has its consequence, so to speak, and you have to play around with it until you finally get it. Now we got trains in the back. Yeah. Anyway, so all right. So what are we eating with this particular wine?
I always think something gamey. This is again like a partridge.
Squirrel, pheasant.
You can use squirrel. Might want to try to
Got stories about it tastes like chicken, but yeah.
I think
pheasant, duck, oysters. Okay.
Oysters, scallops. This would be great lobster.
Creamy cheese.
Name some creamy cheeses.
Brie.
Just for the the brie. Oh, is the brie? Is that the one that you put in the?
You can bake it.
You bake
You
it.
can
in?
wrap it in phyllo pastry,
Oh,
bake it with
yes.
some
Yeah.
cranberry.
Oh, that sounds good.
Because this has the weight in the body.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point, right? You gotta match it so that one's not overpowering the other. Harold. Don't worry about Harold. This is the thing about live podcasts. You hear everything in the background. You hear wind, you hear jets or planes. You hear Harold has not been excited since we've been here. So
We got a friend hunting down there today.
oh, nice.
He's out of the woods right now.
So this is about as guard dog as I've seen Harold. And if Harold and the guy coming out of the woods were like right next to each other, Harold would be just like wagging his tail and just like that. Harold's very docile. So do you allow other dogs here?
Yes, we have a dog run.
Okay. So as long as the dog is
On a leash, it's cool.
yeah, you gotta
No dogs inside, Mr. Service dogs.
hold your dog in a local area kind of thing.
And Harold only comes to work on days
So and the reason dogs have to be, assisted by, the human is that my favorite is dogs eat other people's food. Dogs lick other people's babies that are like on a blanket or something. I've literally seen these things happen. And worse, dogs actually drink other people's wine. That probably is the worst offense that a dog can do. And so that's why it's important to make sure that, if you're bringing a dog to a winery, the dog does not, be a dog. Dog etiquette. I love that. I love it.
Nice.
It's okay. It's okay. We're good to go. That's fun. All right. So we just little dog etiquette break.
Exactly.
But it's great. I mean, this is a good place for to bring your dog if you're gonna come out.
Absolutely.
And honestly, realistically, most people, their dog is just sitting there.
Right.
You'd be
The
surprised.
only time Harold's well, the ones that know the drill, the dog should be sitting, laying down, to provide, snacks and. But anyway, all right. So we are moving on to reds, I think.
All right, so here we go.
Now you'll notice that we're just pouring right in, and then we're mixing it together. You don't like clean your glass out with water.
Correct.
Because that just ruins the next wine.
Exactly. We'll throw off the pH.
So this is a fun one.
Did you go? We need more glasses.
No, we're good.
You go.
So this is a Merlot.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So this is a little bit. I wanted to pour the next one. This is Merlot. We have about 3 acres of Merlot here on the site. In 23, we took all of it to make red wine out of it. In 24, a bunch of winter, about a third of the black winter rose. Part of that portion of that will become sparkling. Like Merlot, Merlot is a lot more fruit driven, a little less tannic. Your Cabernet Sauvignon. And so from 2023, we did Varietal Merlot, Theo of Capstone Vineyards. Merlot dominance, kind of Bordeaux blends, so Merlot dominance. So again, like a little bit of when the fruit and the wine are get all the marks by themselves, it'll be dry.
Yes, this is 100% Merlot, and it's got. You think of Merlot as more docile wine, and it is what it is because every wine or every grape has its characteristics. But you do think of a Merlot being less. This has a ton of flavor.
This is a
Yeah.
how consistent we can do.
So this is French oak, you said. No Belgian.
No Belgian. I actually have some barrels that have some Eastern. It's like 30% Eastern.
That's a whole nother. No, that's got French oak. Okay, so do you know which forest the oak comes out of?
This is called
Just
primarily Conseil.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he does,
forest.
people. He actually does know the
Barrels are really important. That's your
Yeah.
space cabinet.
Yeah.
In winemaking. So if you're not familiar with the barrels, you don't really do it.
Yeah.
You can really have barrels that are quite a bit more than more like
So yeah, and people don't realize the amount of influence that a barrel has. And it's not just how long you have it in the barrel; it's the type of barrel, where the oak came from. All of those things all together. So that in itself is science. We once met a gentleman who was both a master cooper and a winemaker. Yeah. So this guy would literally go to France and he would tag the trees that he wanted. I mean, for real.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. And he would tag those trees, and then they he'd come back over, and he would make the barrels, which is ridiculous. You know, I mean, that ridiculous is the word of the day. But that guy, he just, but I mean, but he knew what he wanted, right? So, and he made it like he wanted. So, yeah, that was very. Yeah, and the reds there, you know, actually show, you know, because you know he had some very unique flavor. But this Merlot has a ton of food. It is acidic, but it's not driving. That's not driving you. It's just such. Yeah, this is. You could eat this with food, or you can have it at the first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is clearly one of those. I mean, there are some red wines that you drink and you're like, man, I gotta have food with this. You know, it's a great wine, but I gotta have food with this in order to tone it down slightly. But this one, you can go either way. So it's a very nice, balance of. Solo. And speaking of food, what food would you recommend?
Skirt steak with ginger.
Yeah, right on it.
You see how long he hesitated? I mean, he just took so much time to make that.
No, I love that.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and it makes sense. Yeah, because that would really enhance both. Now, would you cook the steak with the wine? Would you do a little, you know?
Wet wine that skirt steak for 24 hours, then grill it, and serve it to mature.
Nice. I always think duck with Merlot too.
Yeah.
Cherry
Well,
combo.
but if the Merlot isn't as powerful, it's going to get swallowed up by. I mean, the duck is going to swallow a normal Merlot. This one.
Yeah, this one.
Will
stand up to it exactly.
But I mean, you guys have both had more Merlots than I'll ever have. But the reality of it is, the Merlots are softer, and you know it will just overpower. So you gotta other Merlots you can't have that. It's only too great for the skirts. Yeah, but this one definitely will hold its own and balance it out. Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Duck too. See, I'm a sucker for duck. It's on the menu. I usually get it because nobody puts it on the menu unless they can actually do it well.
Yes.
So if I see it on the menu, I almost always go for it. The only time I think I backed down off of that was when I was like on the beach and they had seafood and duck, and I was like, I really want that duck, but I'm at the beach. I'm at the beach. I'm obligated to have rockfish or something, you know. So anyway, yeah, this is really great.
It is. So, Theo, with the rosé, was this be your first rosé? Nice.
And so it's actually direct pressed, so no heating process.
Intentional.
Yeah, so we have 3 different forms of Merlot out there, and you can see the cluster of all very different chemistries.
Yeah.
So we kept the one clone that's actually closest to us, 181. So rather than drop fruit out there this year, anything what you keep in the house, rosé, you stuff all the fruit, the rest of the bottom drop.
Yeah, spring brings us just in time. Yeah. Now I have to come back. Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. I have friends occasionally. It depends on the week.
A lot of friends on here.
Like
Off camera,
yeah, exactly. Like Cassie's my friend right now, but as soon as we turn the camera off,
Gone.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool. Wow. So how many acres total?
It's a 63-acre park.
Yeah, yeah. So how many acres under mine?
12 and a half under mine. Yeah, about 10 acres that are cleared.
Oh, seriously? Those are two really good.
From what I've tasted, it does really well. And Luna, from what I've seen, grows well, crops well, and it's just really solid.
Yeah. Do you ever? How many bottles do you?
Currently, we're producing from what's ultimately 2,000 cases.
That's pretty good.
Not too bad.
That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, for a small vineyard, that's a lot of work. For a small vineyard.
Yeah, no, it's good. And we also do,
It's a lot of good wine.
Especially smell.
Yeah.
So a lot of people bring their so all set we're producing 2,000 cases from our vineyard. So it's small.
And that's all from grapes here, or do you outsource grapes
They
sometimes?
bring their
Okay, so
everything
there
here
are.
just gets
Okay,
not
yeah.
for sale.
Yeah. No, it is for sale, but
No,
not.
wine.
It doesn't go out from here. Yeah, it just stays here. And that's a lot of bottles, which is great. That's pretty awesome.
We're really fortunate. This site was not random circumstance. When I was working at previously, we actually sourced all the food from 2018. That's where I first found the site.
Yeah. So you found the site first, and then you were like, I want that. I mean, in a nice way. I mean, it wasn't a hostile takeover.
No, it's a supreme great river site. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at it, you got really nice slopes going down.
We're about 15 to 20% grade high.
It's elevation.
Yeah.
You're at about 13 to 15.
How's the moisture?
We're just at the bottom.
Right. Just for that, grapes react differently. You think about it, I just like this fog. You don't realize what goes into it. And the fog line can definitely affect it for sure. Oh, well, and the fact that we've got a lot of wind here.
Well,
It's a steady breeze
the wind.
here around.
Yeah, I was gonna say a great.
This would be
airflow.
great at
Airflow.
95-degree weather this winter, right? I mean, it's not actually cold. We're not. I mean, it's chilly out here, but it's not that bad. It's not. It's certainly. I'm not shivering or anything like that. But this kind of breeze in a 95-degree day would be awesome.
Reduce that so we can see what's
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's cold. Not cold. I mean, it's not cold for November. For any
You pick up the rays and you move them.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Wow. So that was. I mean, just looking at the. All right. So shall we move on to the final? And do you actually make brandy on site? Just.
So I made a lot of brandy where I was working at previously.
Yeah.
However, not here. I don't
Okay.
know if I'm doing that much.
It's an interesting road to chase.
I love brandy.
Yeah, but a lot of the winemakers that I know, they have their own private stock of brandy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's just in the brandy, there's no way to really accelerate the so brandy doesn't really feel so
Yeah, that's tough. So 5 years from now, maybe. He's like not into that.
Yeah. No, because where I was at, we had a distillery.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of
Yeah.
the winemaking.
So you know what makes
Yeah,
it happen.
it's just not.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Hey, and that's really important, right? Because you gotta figure out what works and what doesn't, what you're interested in doing, and where you want to tinker. Because some people are like, just tinker and make some brandy. Other people are like, no, not my thing. And you know, if you're doing this, it works.
I think we've got
Yeah,
more
it-
sparkling.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so now we go. Oh, now we're going into that direction. Yeah, but the sparkling. So the sparkling's been a big hit lately. So people, you know, like it more and more. I've gone to some places where they've had like 3 or 4, and you know, and to the point where you could do an entire tasting of sparkling, and you're like, well, that's interesting. You know, I mean, everybody. You know, I've been to like Wine Valley, and you've had the tasting of 5 Pinot Noirs, and you're like, you didn't think that was even possible, but they all tasted different from each other. So similarly, you could do that same thing with a sparkling easily. I mean, you could easily because there's so much latitude with that, and you can still make it like desirable as a sparkling type of thing.
Well, and I think that you're doing the traditional method and the Charmat method and all these different styles. I think there's definitely a market for that. I think not a lot of other places are doing that. It's not well. So
Okay, so the methods. Go for the methods again. I want to hear these
Yes,
because
yes,
I'm
yes.
not familiar with the different methods.
well, and Theo could probably talk a little bit better about this, but that you have traditional method sparkling, like this is a secondary fermentation in the bottle, and then your Charmat method, which is where you're essentially adding CO2, if I'm correct.
That's forced craft. But
Forced
Charmat
craft,
method
okay.
is a natural tank where you can still make the base and add yeast and sugar to it, so it's still not ferment naturally, so it's similar quality probably. But that Charmat tank is forced craft.
Okay, gotcha. I just think it's
Force carb.
Force carb.
You heard it here, folks. Force carb. I love that.
Yeah, you're not seeing
love
a
that.
ton of that around in Virginia, so I think it's really awesome. It's great. Niche to get into, and I think it's gonna take really well.
Plus, you got a pretty good captive audience, if you will. You know, you've got Northern Virginia in and of itself is pretty big nowadays. Arlington out this way. You know, like Hurt. But then you got DC as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got, you know, so you can draw people from DC and not even blink. Because how far? I think this is like an hour. Plus, I think 66 comes out. We're not that far. It's on the other side of this mountain. The damaging.
The damaging stuff that comes in kind of towards the end of the
Yellow jackets.
We're seeing
Right.
more severe systems come. It's we're making a lot of our diseases now. These are kind of water.
Right.
So what is really
Ooh, this was not a good year for that.
depending on where you are, there's high degree of variability. Some people were
We have an open fire ban.
Right now.
Yeah, because it's just it's so dry. You don't get to see green grass bands. But you gotta gauge that. A lot of people don't realize it's all about, you know, you gotta be a weather person, you know, meteorologist, you gotta be a chemist, you gotta, you know, there's all these things that you have to do. And picking, determining when you pick is really you're done. I mean, you know, you're the great, you know, grapes that you go to, you know, might not even yeah, it's not stable. Okay, so it was bottled in.
Bottle is 2016 is probably
Think about it. That's 7 years old.
and
Now,
it's
you
still
know,
youthful.
It is. It is.
most, yeah. I mean, it's open enough, you know, from when you originally uncorked it. But most people don't realize that most wines are meant to be consumed in a year or two, period, because they're not built to last that long. This one here is 7 years in the bottle, which is saying something. So that
Tastes great.
and
Still
it
got kind of-
really does taste good.
Nice.
And I think, yeah, I think the stuff.
Maybe telegraphs do a little more than they used to, but
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
gives it that. I mean, again,
Yeah, and this is called the Virginia Table.
this is a
Is that what it's called?
Vintner's Blend.
Vintner's Blend. Sorry. It says, I think I read that somewhere on the back.
Yeah, it does. Virginia table wine.
Virginia Table wine, but it's the Vintner's Blend, and this is so you know you're taking a lot of the really good red grapes. Yeah, that's a lot of So yeah, I like the blend, and it's a great. By the way, it's a great thing to do. And I don't know what prompted the blend itself. Sometimes you get low yield, right? So you know if there was a low yield, that's great. It's really good blend, and the grapes are great, you know, but you don't have enough to like you know do. Let's see, you know, you can't just bottle it in a vat. So it goes great, you know, with a blend, and then you just create this really cool, you know, recipe.
Pretty rock solid wine to here. A few cases left of this, not a whole lot. It's not.
Special occasions.
With special occasions.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I can tell you that. I really do appreciate that because this one is it does have a really nice profile. It's you don't get that very much. So Corey, what would you eat with this?
So this is kind of a prime rib.
Definitely.
Filet? Could we do filet with it?
Yeah, you could do filet for sure.
It's on the menu tonight. Yeah. So prime rib. Honestly, prime rib has a little more flavor to the meat. So when you're eating it, you're probably going to get that a better profile balance. So, you know, the filet. I mean, I think it would hold its own. Don't get me wrong, but I think that you're right. I think prime rib would probably be a better selection. What vegetables? Now I'm really putting Theo to the test. What vegetables?
Trumpet mushrooms.
Oh.
It's not a veg. It's like a veg.
Trumpet mushroom. Oh yeah, it is.
It's not
It is.
helping our
It is
cause.
getting to be
Very
lunchtime.
true.
That is not helping at all. But no, this wine, you can tell that you can just go. I'm just taking this one. I love the blend part. I've had blends, red blends before, and they blend as well sometimes. I mean, they're so good. Again, so good wines, you know, which I can understand if you have a limited quantity. Keep it for yourself. There's still in my mind, even if, you know, I mean, I'm sure people would appreciate it, but
You put a super high price tag on
just drink it for yourself. I mean, there's no point in sharing that. This is when sharing is not good. Just throwing that out there, you know, it's like one of those things where you're saying, should I share this? And, like you said, put a super high price tag on it, because you could probably drive that. It would accommodate a higher price tag, because it is an older wine, and it's more than believers. But the reality of it is, this is the definite one where you just stop sharing. No, this is good. This is fun. We've learned a lot today, being here.
So Theo, what would you say you're most excited about over the next couple of years, just with the site and everything here?
Your production facility.
That's fair.
I don't mind being a traveling winemaker, but it would be nice to have
That is hard when it's all set.
Yeah.
It is hard. Yeah.
So that'd be nice. We need to build a. Right now we're operating a tasting place.
Beautiful. Very different.
Isn't that the great part? Is that you don't have to be in competition. Yeah, and everybody's opposite each other, right? I mean, winemakers, wineries and winemakers, they tend to be very. You just with each other. A lot of businesses are like, everything's proprietary. I mean, there's still proprietary stuff, like how you make the wine is proprietary, but there's this friendly thing that if you're successful, they're successful, and that's a very strange dynamic in a lot of businesses, because in most businesses it's you or nobody. You've got to, it's like do or die kind of thing. But in the wine business, and it is one of those things that you have. You could literally capture right around this area. You could spend one day wine tasting. Well,
Yeah.
honestly, you could probably spend 2 days.
Yes.
Because I quit going to like 5 wineries per day.
Well, and I think everyone here offers such nice experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So when you go to I typically like to hold it to 2, so then I can spend a couple hours at the place, so you can enjoy the actual place rather than I'm going to do a quick wine tasting and I'm going to move on to the next one for a quick wine tasting. Just take your time, spread it out, and enjoy. So the best thing to do is to do a little upfront research. That's what Google's for people, or DuckDuckGo, or whatever you use. But that you just do a little upfront research to find out what wines are there. And you come to our YouTube Journey More Often page, and you see what Theo and Cassie and I have been talking about today, and you go, ooh, I think I want to take part in it. Now they'll get everything but the. Sorry, folks, you're not going to get that. We are very privileged just to have a sip of it. So, but you're going to get, the understanding. And then if, you're lucky enough to have Theo here while you're doing your wine tasting, he can actually tell you how to, enjoy your wine and what to eat with your wine as well. Because you've been like boom, boom, boom. I mean, you haven't really hesitated at all. So it's either you've had this conversation like several times before, or you've just enjoyed it on your own.
Well, actually, my husband was a chef.
Hey, we have a twin brother. I didn't know this. This is interesting. A twin brother. Yeah, well, that's a whole nother podcast, right? But he's a chef. Okay, so you guys do. That's a really nice, pairing.
Combo. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, fun. That joke and all that good stuff. Yeah, no, but that's great. I mean, that makes it a little quicker to discover, right?
Yeah.
If you have to work with somebody else who's not a chef, then you have to figure it out on your own. Whereas if you have a chef, you just play, right? You just play, and some of that is playing. So if you have a food and you bring a wine in, then you're testing to see if it works or not. And one of the things that we do is encourage people to do that testing. There are some things, and you'll find out what works and what doesn't work. And so, my theory is, okay, try it. If it doesn't work, then, cap it, put it over there, and have a food that it's going to work. Okay, and then grab another one. Now everybody doesn't have like 16 bottles, 30, in this case, 2,000 cases. But it's an experimental scenario, and you got to be open to that experiment. And to determine. But yeah, this has been fabulous. I mean, I've really experience here. Thank you
Yes.
very much for
Yeah.
hosting us.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. This has been great. The wines are,
Awesome.
yeah, like, yeah, the next level up. So, everybody, come on out to Capstone because these
Please
guys, these guys are putting together some good product, and they have a great location. So if you haven't, if you don't like the view, you'll like the one. And it's pretty much that's the way it goes. Anything else that you'd like to, throw out there before we wrap it up?
Just again, and going back to our neighborhood, we have a lot of really great wineries out there. So it's we have created the wine destination. We all come out to, and so they've got their ATVs around. So they'll come eat, come and stay. Just really get the feel for the area. Because I reckon Linden, this area will be on the map. It's already getting on the map.
It's
It'll be
already, yeah.
one of the premier wine destinations on the West Coast for sure. And it's super exciting. So you all go out and try it.
Yeah, if you use maps, you'll see they'll all come up. Yeah, wineries here.
Yes.
That gets all your wineries, and there's a whole bunch here. It's pretty sweet. So you get a lot of you don't have to travel too far because in this area, 4 miles can take you 20 minutes.
That's true.
That is
That's very true.
There's,
Very
there's a
true.
lot of mountain roads, so there is something to be said for having like 4 or 5 wineries in like within a mile of each other. It's easy because the lane here is probably half a mile.
It is.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty good with that. So you're going half a mile down and then you're going over. So just to the next winery is like a mile and a half, even though it's right there.
You know, you can see that tree line.
Yeah, you can see the tree line to the wine. You can see. Yeah, and this view, if you haven't had enough view, all right, let's wrap this. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for this Tipsy Tag Along podcast here at Capstone Vineyards. Yeah, so we've been having a lot of fun. We've gone through a lot of things, so join us on our YouTube channel at Journey More Often. It's easy to spell. More is with 2 O's. And you'll see probably almost 3 dozen podcasts out there right now. So we've got a lot of podcasts doing things from travel blogs to American Wine Journey, which is, now we're doing pairing wine with food. He's pairing food with wine. So today we got Theo pairing food with wine. I think the killer one was the skirt steak and the chimichurri. So, join us, and until the next time, enjoy life, journey more often.